How do you see that fight between Hamzat and Nate Diaz playing out in the main event?
你怎么看小麻跟齐马耶夫这场比赛？你觉得这场比赛会打成什么样？
我觉得这个回合应该是打不满，不可能打满。
I don't think this fight will go to decision. Won't be.
男人身上一定要有点匪气。
Every man should be a gangster. Now there's a fight between two gangsters.
Oh man, that's an interesting matchup. I'm really excited to see how. I hear this is Nate. It might be Nate Diaz.
Yeah, it's his last fight in his contract.
Last fight in the UFC, and I'm fucking so hyped to be a part of that. You know, I'm trying my hardest to steal all the fans. You know, I'll probably spark a joint in there or something. You never know. But
double knockout. They knocked each other the fuck out.
Khamzat and Nathan Diaz, because it's very pro wrestling like, right? They're trying to kill the guy as he leaves the territory. They're trying to get him to do the job on the upstart, but it doesn't really sit well with the audience. What do you think?
I just actually, before I had to leave my hotel for the tryout, I was just listening to the end of your interview with Dan Hardy.
Oh, thanks.
And his stuff is awesome. I love his stuff on YouTube with BT Sport. It's been great. But I echo his sentiments. It feels, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's a great, incredible fight. But it feels like the beloved veteran, just being thrown out as a lamb to slaughter. And I hate that. And I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. But that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we saw Gilbert show a few wrinkles in the game, right? Whereas if you can hang in there and not let the allure of who he is or what he says he is get in your head, which Nate is not going to allow that to happen. Nate's going to be smacking him in the face and spitting blood at him, whatever he's going to do. And that's what he's got to do. He's really got to frustrate him. He's got to try to get him off his game, which is what happened in that Gilbert Burns fight. Because if you listen to the corner with Hamzat, they were screaming in his face, focus, like, what are you doing? You're not following the game plan. If Nate can kind of pull him into, come on, man, thought you were a gangster. I thought you were tough. That's his best bet. And then let that time tick off. The closer he can get to that fourth round, fifth round, get Hamzat sucking wind a little bit and you know, maybe get him to shoot from a distance and leave the neck out there. Those are the best opportunities, I think, for Nate.
I think a lot of people are just kind of writing Diaz off. You know, I think 90% of people think Hamzat's going to go in there and ragdoll him. I don't necessarily think that's true. But I think that's kind of the narrative around that fight is I'm actually very curious to see how much that sells. Nate Diaz is a massive star, obviously, probably top 2 in the UFC right now. But I'm very interested in seeing how many pay-per-views that sells. If it does over 400,000, if it, you know, I think, do people want to pay to see Diaz get whooped? I don't know. I'm curious.
Any shot you might be like a Nate Diaz good luck charm or something. I mean, you were on the card last time he shocked the world.
Yeah, for sure. You know, maybe it'll happen. You know, and I think everybody's kind of rooting for him a little bit. You know, just in the underdog sense.
Don't have an issue with him. Can you tell us how you feel about him? Do you still feel like he was rude?
I feel like he likes the fucking media. I feel like, you know, he only does this extra wannabe street shit when the media's around. Other than that, he doesn't do it. So, yeah. I mean, when you guys aren't around, he wants to do fist bumps and he wants to be your best friend. When you guys are around, then all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna rip your fucking head off. You ain't ripping shit off, dog. Let's be real. You want a paycheck just like the rest of these guys around here.
How do you see that fight with him and Nate going?
Nah, he should win on paper.
You know, of course I'm gonna go with kind of everybody else. I see Hamzat, you know, taking the fight. But if it goes into the 4th and 5th rounds and he doesn't finish Nate Diaz, you know, Nate Diaz is one of those OGs that can kind of surprise you. So if it does hit the 4th and 5th rounds, I can see Nate Diaz giving him maybe a little bit of problem. But, you know, it's definitely a tough fight. You know, they fed him a lion in there.
It just feels like we're getting to the point where someone should start thinking about pressing charges. It doesn't feel like a fair fight. It feels like a very, very cruel thing to do to someone that is a legitimate legend. Because they've spoken out against the organization, they're going to get executed live on TV. That's kind of how it feels. And it makes me feel uncomfortable to think that that's the way it's going to go down. Like I desperately hope that Nate at least comes through it all right. But after watching what Hamzat did to Reese McKee and to John Phillips, yes, of course, Nate's got good jiu-jitsu, but there comes a point where jiu-jitsu is nullified by good wrestling. It happened in the early days of the UFC, and it would happen against Nate if it hits the floor. I think he gets nullified, and I think he gets beaten up horrendously from the top position. I think it's going to be uncomfortable to watch, and I think it's going to leave the UFC in a very, very bad light. And I just hope Nate comes through it all right, because I think he's got good opportunities outside the UFC. It's just a shame that they're going to do this assassination attempt on him before he leaves.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Diaz has some slick submissions. I mean, both of the brothers do. I mean, you can't ever just say someone's going to walk through anybody, because, you know, we've seen this so many times where you think that, and then somebody gets in there and gets caught with something, and you're like, holy shit, did not see that coming. So, no, I wouldn't say that he's just going to get in there and walk through him. Could have happened, of course, but no, man, I think Nate's a tough dude. Nate could pull out a win anywhere, you know. He could overwhelm him with output, you know, and just completely pick them apart if it gets later into those rounds. You know, obviously those guys' cardio is insane. Those guys can just keep going and going and going and take a punch, take a beating, you know, and if you're not prepared and ready for that, that shit can sneak up on you later in those championship rounds. And, you know, if you're not mentally tough, that stuff will break you back then. So, yeah, I think anything could happen, but no, man, I think that can be an exciting fight, man. I'm curious to see what happens there.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike. And I think just with the Hamzat situation, you just got to make sure there's no letdown. Like make sure he's doing all the things that he's supposed to be doing, whether it's Gilbert Burns or whether it's Nathan Diaz, right? Because, you know, we all know Nate's game, and he's going to come and bring a fight no matter what. And he's going to be tough to put away. But at the end of the day, like these are all professionals, and these guys have to maintain that same line of thinking no matter who's in the cage. So I think that's the main thing, is just make sure you're Khamzat, you got razor focus. You're going out there and doing everything you're supposed to do. I think Khamzat's style, especially his style of grappling, is just very tough when you see the way he kind of this anti-jiu-jitsu, where he likes his pins, he likes to kill the legs. You know, he's not staying in the guard plays looking to pass and get to topside half or split and pin, or these areas that really negate a lot of the guard play. So I think for him, just go in there and do what you do and stay safe in those areas and not play around. And I think it would be a good night for him.
And then, like, if you were advising Nate, it's like you can kind of look at it from a house money situation where it's just like, would you approach Nate like, hey, no one thinks you're going to win this fight, just go out there and have fun and then just go on your merry way? Like, how would you sort of approach that?
You know, Nate's a dog, and I think with Nate and his durability, and after knowing like the first fight with the last fight with Khamzat and Gilbert Burns, you might want to try to see what you can do as far as putting him in some deep waters. And it being a 5-round fight, try to make him actually work, and maybe later on in those rounds. You don't want to play the rope-a-dope with him by any means, but you definitely want to try to maybe wear on his body, try to kick his legs a little bit, do some things that, you know, maybe can be taxing later on as the fight goes on, and try to put him in some deep waters in those regards. But, you know, I know the line that is pretty wide, but I don't think they're giving Nate enough credit as far as how good he actually is. And yeah, if I'm in the Nate side of things, I think we're trying to get him into round 3, 4, and 5, and try to work where you can get him a little deeper rounds and try to work on that cardio.